we're gonna go straight into the panel right now. So I invite on stage Malin, that we already know, Radu, please, and Smartdreamers Adrian. Could you please take seats? Yeah, you can just like so. Doesn't seem like we're taking sides. I forgot my sheet of questions, but I have it online, so I'm just gonna bring it up on the screen right now. Just that's great. Okay, great. So this panel has a series of it comes from a series of panels that we do when we invite investors and entrepreneurs that already closed the deal and they've been like quite a few months or years within the deal to tell us like what was their view on the deal, how they end up working together, how the negotiations went, just to better understand like how an investment deal is actually made. Yesterday we had a VC investment, and we discussed with guys from 3TS and the guys from 123 Contact Form. And today we have an angel investment, and which is fairly fresh. When did you do the first round of investment in Smartdreamers?
I think we are soon celebrating 1 year these days.
So great. So Adrian, can you please tell us like what Smartdreamers is? What do you actually do?
Okay, so Smartdreamers is an online recruitment platform that simplifies the connection between companies, job seekers, and non-job seekers. So unlike classical recruitment platforms, we target a large market of people that are not actively searching for jobs. So we use multiple marketing channels to achieve that. And basically, by this way, we create high value for the companies. And as companies, we saw that they are integrated. They are tangled in a quite complex recruitment process. We also offer companies an applicant tracking system by which they can manage the entire recruitment process.
Okay. Could you please tell us about the team behind it? So who are your co-founders?
So it's me, Mihai, the CTO, and Marius, the marketing guy. So this actually was kind of an important important thing in the fundraising process, because we had, from our point of view, an optimal team mix. Basically, me with the talking, fundraising process, business development, Marius with marketing, and a technical guy.
Could you please also add a bit about the background that you have, so I understand what you both, all of you do?
My experience was before working in HR and in recruitment for 5 years. Marius was working in marketing, and Mihai was just he arrived from United States. He worked there as a CTO for 5 years. So
so you were all seniors in your field? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when did you start actually the company? Was it 1 year ago or more?
In last year in March, we launched Smartdreamers officially. We had like 3 months of activity because there was the egg chicken problem. We should be bringing first companies or candidates. So before launching Smartdreamers in March, we had 3 months in which we gather companies on the platform.
Okay, that's when you put it online, right?
Yeah.
You mean, when did you actually literally started working on the project?
By the end of 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where were you there? Like right before the investment, where were you in terms of numbers? Where was the business?
Sorry?
Where was the business in terms of numbers?
We had like 6,000 candidates on the platform and 150 companies. That's when we decided that we don't have just an idea. We also have an execution plan, and we show, okay, we can bring candidates, we can bring companies, and let's take a step forward and also enter in the fundraising process.
That's when you decided that you need to raise money?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So what was your like thought process? Okay, we need some money, and from that point on, like how did that fit with what you wanted to do?
So basically, we saw that the product can be scaled. We had the solid team, as I mentioned. So we said that we have the good story to go to business angels to pitch the idea in order to be, because basically we have a lot of ideas to put in practice, but we need a development team. So hiring developers is it's expensive. So basically we say, okay, we have the story, let's go and start the pitching.
So Malin, Radu, could you please also tell like how did you meet the guys? Like what was like the courtmanship process? When did you meet Smart Dreamers, and when did you decide to invest? Tell us a little bit about this period.
Well, actually, I don't know when we met, but we had several talks before deciding to invest. And actually, this happened not only because of some uncertainties related to the business and so on in the beginning, but also because we had several angels together in the same round, basically, which made things a bit more complicated.
Okay, so I know that you actually organized more investors for this to invest in Smart Dreamers. That you came. How many investors were you? So, and how did you invest? Could you explain about like how that came to be?
We started by being 4 investors. The talk started basically with 4 of us, and then in the end we were 3 investing. But I didn't organize this. We organized ourselves, and we decided that I go in front. That's it.
Okay, okay. So was this set up especially for this deal, or like did you have discussions prior and you just were waiting for the opportunity?
It actually started before we tried to put money together in another startup, and it didn't go well. We decided to stop that the discussions with the guy. So then the team was almost complete when we started talks with Adrian.
Okay. Are you all the investors, are they connected to tech, or like what's the profile of the investors?
Actually, out of from the first round, no, it's only me, tech.
Okay. So
I can half answer the same question. Basically, the club we first met was Tech Angels, which is actually a club for angels that are interested in investing in tech companies, and that's how we met. So, short answer to your question.
okay. So from the you're also in the first round, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So how did you come to invest in tech?
Okay. It's being an angel investor or deciding to be an angel investor is like having a hobby. It's not like we're trying to get rich, although it could be a good byproduct. If you check the numbers where there are some statistics, you don't get actually rich of it. It's 9 out of 10 companies fail. So the 10th company needs to at least provide tenfold money just for you to break even without taking into consideration that you didn't put the money in the bank. So I think that Romania has a great potential in growing this, but you have to do something about it. And this is, well, I cannot code or I cannot invent businesses, so this is my part of the contribution.
Okay. So, what was the reason that led to the decision of investing like as a syndicate? Is it just because you need to do a bigger round, or is it because it brings different value? So why not go in on your own?
Well, I do believe there are quite a lot of people that would invest in tech if they would have somebody to trust, or somebody to lead them into this. And I do believe in putting money together like this. So I was somehow pushing for this kind of setup for the first round and for the second round. It's not because of the amount. It's also, of course, it's a lower exposure for each of us. But I think it's good for the startup as well, as long as they don't have too many headaches managing the business angels, as they basically talk to me and then I have to manage the others. And on the other hand, the whole networking stuff and so on, it's increased.
So because you also like mentioned this, does the company work actively with all the investors, or is there a representative? So how are you represented in the company?
Basically, it's a process we have agreed from the beginning. I'm a member of the board. Normally, before each of the boards, he sends a report. Everybody gets to see the report and can say whatever they want to hear for the next board meeting. After the board, we have a minute of the meeting, and we meet and discuss about what happened.
So, like, what were the difficulties of having multiple investors? Did you like pre-set up who makes the decisions or who's the representative, or did you actually have to align the interests, all of you, when doing the round?
So far, we didn't have any big problem, let's say. We had problems before investing because some of them were concerned with some things and some others they were not, and so on. So we had to get everybody happy on the way the investment happened. But after that, there was no problem basically. And every time, I mean, communication is really good in this respect. Every once in a while, each of us can contact Adrian and he talks to whoever has, something to be clarified. But normally, the normal process is on a monthly basis, everybody gets updated.
So, Adi, when you were negotiating the deal, did you have to do like this alignment, or was it all like already set up for you? So you just discussed with.
Actually, the alignment was set up by the business angels. So the process was the negotiation actually went quite smooth. So basically, it was more of time of knowing each other, because basically you invest in the team, especially in this stage, or you should. It's more appropriate for you to say that. But from my experience, from what I heard from investors, is the team the most important aspect of the investment decision. So the negotiation process, because of the syndicalization, went very smooth.
Okay. Was that? Do you want to add something, please?
It went very smooth immediately after the future deal became less complicated. So the first proposal of the deal, and this is an advice I would like to people who are facing the possibility of taking an angel investment or giving an angel investment to know what to expect. And the simpler the deal, the better the negotiations process and the outcome.
So could you please tell us about the negotiation process? So how do you know for like what did you actually had to do?
So this is the valuation. We need the money. Let's do it. Now, so as I mentioned, it was not a complex negotiation process. So it was more like, okay, who is behind the idea? How are you going to execute the plan? Are you willing to? Are you fully committed to this idea? So basically, the valuation, the amount, that, as I mentioned, went quite okay. So it wasn't a complex thing to just negotiate for. Okay, let's bring you the valuation a bit low and a bit low and a low. And so it was not that, because all the people involved in this process wanted to have a fair deal, both sides. Yeah.
So what are you looking to get out of the deal except the money? Was it just the money that's like you needed some more gas in the tank?
No, because most probably you ran out of money at a certain point. So it's highly important who are the business angels behind those money, because when you run out of money, you can have like two situations. You just call the business angel, hey, I run out of, we don't have money, we have good traction. Okay, sorry, I'm in Chile right now. Talk to you. Bye. So, but for example, we always had a very good communication, as Malin mentioned. So we always knew how the business is doing. So the business angels were always helping as much as possible, taking time for also in the board meetings and afterwards. So it's highly important to have not just the money, but also the commitment from them in the business, that they will help you on the long term when you will face difficult times, because it's quite impossible not to have difficult times in the process of building a startup.
Okay, so Marina, I wanted to ask you, we've known each other for a long time. I know you see a lot of startups, you see a lot of pitches, you're actually extremely active as an investor. But in the end, you only invest in like a very small number of them. So why these guys? And was the industry relevant when choosing the company, or is it just the team, as Adi was saying?
No, the industry was not relevant from my point of view. The team was important, as Adrian said. Yes, this was an important ingredient, the most important one. And yeah, I believed in the product and so on, so I thought it makes sense.
Could you please like detail a bit on that? We hear this a lot. Team is important. But what did you actually look for? How did you quantify the value of the team?
Yeah, like first of all, they want to create a product. So I want to see that they can create a product, they can understand the market, they will be able to scale the product. Then I want to see they can face the goods and the bads of running a startup. I mean, most of the startups are used to have difficult times, but they are not used to have good times. So when they get to have money, they may start having problems. So this is also important. I want to see that they can understand each other, that they did things together in the past, that, I mean, that they're determined to do things, because, you know, it's also important. They can be, you know, they are fighting for it and they want to do it, and, you know, they are insistent. Yeah, these kind of things.
Aside from what he said, I have 3 more criteria for selecting. Team is very important for me, at least. And when I look at teams, there are 2 hygienic, which is one, I don't believe in one-person teams. So I tried for 2 businesses, we tried to find a co-founder for somebody. So that could be a solution, but I don't believe in one-person teams. And 2, they don't have to have side jobs. So they can have side jobs until the investment, but second they have to quit their jobs. And the third is not a hygienic. And it's harder to quantify. The team has to come to accomplish 2 things: to be open for feedback and proactive in talking to the investors or to the investors to be. But second, they have to understand it's their business, it's their decision, and they have to run it, actually, to take the decisions after asking, even after receiving an advice they don't agree to. It's their decision. They have to. So it's you don't have to commit to teams that look at you like you're the messiah, and you will direct the things. And also not talk to teams that forget to send the monthly report or ignore your phone calls.
Okay. We talked a bit in the morning, Radu, about you told me that you have some huge turnoffs when you see a team. Mainly you mentioned valuation, and you also have like something that gets you really interested. What are those things?
Okay. Not only valuation, but also needs. I would like to. I saw a lot of pitches, and I think 3 or 4 days ago there was the Tech Angels pitching, and we laughed because everybody was requesting 200,000, either euro or dollars. And I can tell you, I kind of know I did this for 2-3 years, and I know there are no such investors. There's 1 or 2 such investments. Sorry. So don't ask for 200,000, and don't valuate yourself at 1 million if you have some slides or a great idea or just an MVP, because 1 million is a huge chunk of money. And 200,000, you will not get it. So don't ask for 200,000, because there are not so many investors, not so many angels out there, and they will walk away, basically. If your needs cannot be adjusted to, let's say, 50,000, it's a problem. But if this is the case, then do like this. Listen, we're looking for 50,000 in the first stage, and if we get to these key points, we will talk with you how can we get an extra 150 in 1 year or in half a year so we can continue. But don't ask for 200,000. Don't read TechCrunch and Crunchbase and see that in Silicon Valley they have risen 1 million and then 10 million and so on, because those are the winners. The 99% that didn't make it are not listed there. And like you said in the morning, they don't follow up what they do with the money, then how many fail. So don't ask for 200,000.
So was this the case with
No.
Smartdreamers, that when you did a follow-on investment, like you first discussed something like, okay,
Actually,
you reach
the
that
first
point?
requirement was 200,000. But yeah, that's why we had 2 rounds. I wanted to add something to the team side. For me, it's very important also, and what Radu said is basically, we want to see skin in the game. We want to see that, there is some risk for the team involved as well. It's not like, I have a good idea. If I find some sucker to put his money in, then okay, we can test it together. Okay, you have to see skin in the game. Sorry, no.
So one question. I know you're now working on 2 products, right? Could you
Yeah,
please
that's
detail on that?
So basically, on Smartdreamers, we have good traction in terms of companies and candidates. We have like over 100 companies are registering on Smartdreamers each month. So we noticed that they are tangled in a quite complex recruitment process in most part of the Central and Eastern Europe. And basically they manage their recruitment process like CVs in folders and so on. So we said that there is a huge opportunity to develop also a dedicated B2B component of the business, in which the recruiters can simplify their entire recruitment process. So by doing this, basically, we offer companies not just a talent acquisition tool, but also an applicant tracking system. And by this, we can increase the lifetime value of the company. It's more hooked in our recruitment solutions.
General textbook rule that I say that investors really want to see focus because this helps the business. How did you see the fact that when the team said that they want to work on 2 products, which may actually maybe require more money or something like that? Did that influence your decision anyway, or was it a turn on or turn off?
We do believe we are not talking about 2 products. Actually, it's some sort of product suite, if you want. So it's a series of products, but they're all together in the recruiting area, targeting the same market. They're talking to the same people. It's basically creating a set of products in the same region.
No, by the way, guys, if you want to ask any questions, feel free, just raise the hands and we're going to get the mic to you so you can ask your question, okay? So anything pops into mind, and we have one already, okay. Can you get the mic there? Thank you.
Hello. Just one question. How much equity did you give in your rounds? In your first one and the second round?
He's a cheap Charlie.
Actually, we discussed that we keep this as from your point of view, as not to influence other investments. So basically, there are active investors. So and each deal has different valuations. So I think it's the best if that other startups that we'll discuss with the investor are not influenced by our deal. I think it's better. Or maybe we can talk in private afterwards.
So let me simplify that for you. I don't want to tell you.
No, I can give you a better answer. Read the Ziarul Financiar from today. Somehow they found out about all the numbers.
I think you have a mower, don't you?
So I don't know if it's clear, but there were 2 rounds. This is how we talked about in the first place, but the way we simplified the deal is let's keep the second round separated from the first, so no commitments, and that worked fine, I think, because what we did was one of the initial angels didn't follow up, so we both tried to get somebody else in his place, and we both succeeded. So there are more investors now, and I think it's valuable, because you as an angel investor are not only an ambassador in the business process, you're an ambassador in further fundraising, which is also an asset. If the more the merrier.
So when we talked about a bit about this, I think, yesterday. So, what's usually your view as an angel investor? So you plan to invest for how long? Like, what's your involvement for what, like, commitment of time, cash? Like, what do you want Smartdreamers to do in like 2 years? What would be a good deal for you?
So first of all, I think any angel investor should be patient. I mean, okay, but you should have high expectations on the other hand. So basically, Adrian is now in the process of raising funding from a VC company or several, and a VC company is usually coming with a 3 to 5 years waiting period for exit. So this adjusts our expectations in terms of exit.
Do you usually want to go in the VC? Do you want to invest more money when the VC puts money in?
Usually I did a follow-up with the VC, yes.
Okay. Do you actually negotiate that when you put the money in with the company? You negotiate that your right to follow on investments?
We don't have an upfront discount for valuation, if this is what you ask, or what?
No, like if you reserve the right to
Yes,
follow on investments.
We do reserve the right to follow up investments, but it's a right, is not something that we have to do.
Usually, again, if you have more questions, ask them, because these are my last questions, and then we're gonna close the panel. Please. What about hardware?
Yeah, I mean, investing in hardware. Okay, so investment in hardware. What do you think about it? What do you see about it? Maybe also if you have some insights from the European region. How do they invest in hardware, because we are doing our hardware company, and I think that there is a lot of talking about software companies, but hardware companies are also coming up, but I haven't really heard insights from Europe, but only from the US.
Let me spin this around a bit and change the question. So like, would you be interested in hardware, and if yes, why? If no, why?
I myself, I'm not interested in hardware. The reason is I don't know about it. But I think it's a very good idea to make hardware companies. It's obviously that all this IoT and stuff is going well, and it's not only in US, it's also in Europe. But it's not in my field of interest. So basically, I'm focused on software companies.
Radu, would you go in hardware?
Yes, I'm less focused than Malin. I would do actually. I am in talks with a friend of mine. He presented yesterday here. They are doing some bracelets for boxing, for measuring.
Jabu.
Yeah, and I like what they do, so I don't say no to hardware companies. It's there's a particularity. You need more money as a hardware company. So as an angel, you have to be prepared for that.
And the one thing which really excites me is that how can you tell from an investor who didn't have any previous experience with hardware that he might be excited in the hardware? I mean, what's the difference between you? How can you tell?
Yeah, there's a clear difference. He's a specialist. I'm not. I don't know a lot of things about technology. I'm the odd one out of this room, I think. He's a specialist. I'm not, so perhaps that's why I'm not focused.
Thank you.
So just like the questions that we have that we close this type of panels. So from your point of view, what would you advise? What advice you'd give to an angel investor when dealing with a startup company? Like, what's the advice I should do to make sure that they close the deal, or that things go smoother?
To business angel, actually, I think no. Maybe it's a better to for. Actually, for business angel, I think that as I've already said, that it's best to find out if there is the full commitment of the team in the business, 100% plus, and okay, if there is the market, and basically to have this, like, I don't know, 3 to 4 months before closing the deal, in which to find as much as possible about the team, because any entrepreneur is over enthusiastic about the business. We were too. So we will do this and that and that, and business angel know that. so they know that we are over enthusiastic. But you can find out in that 4 months if okay, can this guy be realistic, or is just he's over enthusiastic for the long term. So I think in those 4 months you can find a lot about the entrepreneurs, how committed they are in the business, and if you will close the deal or not with them.
So, Radu Malin, if you were to advise a startup, what should they take into consideration to before going to see an angel investor? Like, what advice should they take into consideration to make sure that they increase their chances of getting investment, or they have a nicer negotiation?
Okay, you ask
Whoever's
me.
braver.
You ask me. There's a lot of things. So if I can focus on one, I just saw some presentation earlier. Be honest and declare your weaknesses. As a startup, you cannot be the best in the world. You cannot never you cannot not have competition. We don't have. We are the only one on the market. Sorry, bullshit. Also, don't be over optimistic. Don't be you have to be over optimistic, but not over. There's a fine line between spreadsheet and bullshit. So it's good when we detect that. And also, don't when you compare your product or your future product to other products on the competition thing, always under your product there's only check, and those the others have like check and X and X. Why don't you put your access over there? If you put your access over there, I would be more confident that you're a good guy and I can talk to you. So acknowledge your weaknesses. Don't say that you're the best.
Malin?
One thing for the negotiation process. So once the decision is made somehow, I mean, angels decided they want to invest, and you start talking about terms and conditions and so on. Basically, for startups, be prepared to consider that the best protector of your business will be the angel, because normally you will have some individual interest for the business. Whatever VC is coming, they will do it in their way. But the only one that will really care about the business in the end will be the business angel. So keep that in mind.
It sounds like a plug right there. Okay, so this is the time we have for this panel. Thank you so much, Smart Dreamers. Thank you so much, Malin and Radu. So please join me in thanking them, and then we're going to continue with a new round of pitches.